Hey there, Ross. How are you doing?
Oh, been better.
What about your Nate?
It's doing all right. I
Yeah,
can
me
I
too.
can put it on the ground today, which is nice, but
Yeah, that helps.
a little rough still.
What you done?
I was playing tennis and hyperextended my knee.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah, a little rough. A little rough. But
Yeah, that's what we get for playing sports.
yeah, I was joking with my family. I was like, yeah, I had to, get one more urgent care visit in before I turned 30. But yeah, we're just like yeah, just of course had to happen right before the holidays. But how's everyone else doing? Just jamming. Hey Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, so today I'm not sure. I got a bunch of messages from people that were saying the Zoom link didn't work for today or something.
Can you not? Because I do join another office hours that it's literally on like an auto schedule. Like you don't have to set the things. So it just like automatically, once you've joined, it just puts in your diary
Like
every
a
week. Yeah,
a
recurring
recurring.
thing.
Yeah. It's obviously not that right now
No,
for
every
you.
single
You have to sign up for every
you have
single.
to go, yeah, and go to. I think it's because if you go to this website and do it, it's doing it via Calendly. So it's like you have to go Calendly, join, click, then go to the next week and keep
Mm,
doing it like that.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll work on that. Add that to the list. Oh, look at that. There
Graham's
we
on
go.
holiday.
It's wishful thinking, by the way.
I feel it. I mean, I've got a
Better than
blanket on my lap right now because it's so cold here in Vegas.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I got the heater going, but anyway, today will be a little bit of a quicker meeting. We're currently working on deployment. Tim here is working on our deployment of I think 1.16.2, I believe,
I think 1.17.
or 1.17. Hey,
Mhm.
Sasha.
Hey, how are you?
And so we'll be going over that probably on Thursday in more in depth for all the agency owners, and then doing our normal showcase of new features next Tuesday. But I think today's office hours will be good to just do a bunch of Q&A, go over any questions that you guys have, any features that you'd like to see or updates. My energy's a little bit low because I hurt my knee over the weekend, so bear
Dear.
bear with me. But yeah, I'll just kind of open it up to anybody. If anybody has any questions, we can just kind of go into it. We are working on the marketplace, by the way. That will be out very soon. That's probably
Okay.
the main thing that we're looking forward to, because a lot of people are having questions, or they're sharing the bots that they're creating with us, or the agents that they're creating with us. And some of the things that are being put in the base system prompt are quite creative, let's say. let's say. And in some use cases, the like certain things aren't actually available. So like using variables, that's not necessarily something that we've built into the platform yet, but in some case it does work. So all that being said, is we're trying to create bots, add them to this marketplace, and then have everyone be able to easily clone those into your account. So that way everyone can have more use cases, more examples, and use that to compare, modify, clone, make new templates from, and all that.
Ross, what would be your recommendation on the length of the base system prompt? So I've tried with long ones and it gets complicated, and shorter ones sometimes seems to work better.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good to optimize in the base system prompt first and then do the tweaking in the knowledge base? Is that in the Q&A and the text files, the website scraping?
So one of the things that we're finding, and OpenAI actually just pushed some new documentation to help align how to better write prompts for these certain things. And the way that they're formatting it is a little bit more, it's more consistent, let's say. So for example, in the base system prompt, they will use markdown formatting to signify headings for different sections, and those different sections signify the flow of one of these agents. So for example, you could have the first section be bot personality or agent personality, and it would have hashtag agent personality, and then a few instructions about, you are an agent for so and so, you're supposed to be friendly and professional, and all these things. And then enter, and below that, there would be another heading that is flow of conversation. And you could signify step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this, and then you could reference other things. So for example, you could reference the lead collection step and the questions that are asked in that step, because all of those get appended to the prompt when OpenAI sees it. So I would try to not add more text than needed and try to use more of a formatted base system prompt that will allow
Ross, do you want me to show? Do you want me to
can you show an
share?
example?
Yeah.
And this is why the
I have-
marketplace is going to be great, because right now I'm like just saying all these things, and you guys are probably like, this doesn't help me at all. And
Okay.
yeah,
So
here you go.
first off, we now support comments, right? Which is really just for humans, so you can explain certain sections to yourself. We're also going to be introducing what's called monospaced formatting to the prompt, so that it looks like this. Because in reality, what this is, we've come to realize over the past 6 months, is you're kind of writing code, right? Now, this code is expressed in natural language, but it is still code, and sometimes it helps to be able to line things up in a monospaced font. So that's a small thing, but we are adding it. We're also going to be adding highlighting for the comments so that they look more like comments in code. But here's what he means as far as the structure. So ignore this, is something I added a second ago, but this is markdown formatting, and it has a natural structure that, the bot can go in there and kind of follow it. And here's where I'm telling it, how to schedule an appointment, get the time zone, get the available times using this function we've built, propose the time to the user, schedule the appointment. I even have an example conversation that I'm working on, because this example conversations work really well for whatever reason when prompting the bot. And then I've got additional information here about answering questions. Do not make stuff up, basically. This is actually for the notifier.so bot. So I've got information about the pricing plans embedded in here. And then also just some basic information that people often ask that I want it to have available, kind of ready to go and not be stored in a knowledge base. That being said, as far as length, you do want to keep the length right now under 4,096 tokens. Now, it does depend on the actual version of the model you're using. We are going to be adding to the user interface a token counter. If you're wondering what a token is, you can kind of think of it as a word. Until we get that token counter built into the user interface, there are some token counters you can use online. You can literally just Google OpenAI token counter, and that should bring up something. I'll also throw one in that seems to be very accurate into the Discord. So this is what we mean by adding more structure. Now, this all being said, we know this is a lot, right? To know how to prompt the bot like this takes work and experience. So this marketplace functionality that we're working on, we're also going to be working harder to support you guys for, like, if you have a question, I can't get my bot to do this. I used the marketplace bot and it's not doing a slight variation of a use case that I want to do. How do I do it? And we'll have the ability to jump on a call with you guys and help you troubleshoot that and get it truly built. Then we'll add it back to the marketplace as an example. But basically what I'm saying is, we know it's hard to know how to do this, and it's not fun, and it takes time. That's why we're going to build functionality to just help these be ready to go.
Yeah, so make them a little bit shorter, Tim.
We get a copy of this, Tim.
What's that, Graham?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Excellent.
Yeah, that would be cool if we could get a top copy, Tim.
Yeah, sounds good. Let me finish making it and testing it with the notifier chatbot, and then I'll post it in the Discord, and we can use that until we get the marketplace, which, knock on wood, but it should just be a few days. We already have the prototype going, and there's just some kinks in the user interface, as always, that we're trying to work out.
So with that marketplace, will it just be accessible via agency partners first, or are you going to roll it out that way?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
A quick question: where did the Thursday thing get posted, or did it not?
Is it? Let me check.
A quick look in the Discord, but maybe I'm looking in the wrong place.
I think you'd said, Ross, you weren't going to publish the video. You were just going to take snippets from it.
Oh,
Yeah.
the video or the link for? Yeah, I wasn't going to publish the whole video.
I wasn't. Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I can.
Obviously not for general consumption, is it? Because it was
Yeah, we can do the next one maybe.
yeah, it'd be cool. Yeah. I just wondered if it was there and I'd missed it, but no, clear's not.
Yeah, nothing yet. You didn't miss it. Thanks, Tim, for sharing that demo. I think that's definitely going to help a lot of people out. because we'll be able to basically build these for different niches as well. So
Mhm.
essentially, every agency that we come across, we'll probably just build one out, and then that will help.
Right.
Like when we do when I do a new sales call, and someone's like, "Oh, I run this type of agency for so and so," I will most likely just have our team build a variation for that agency, add it to the marketplace, which allows everyone to then use it for, them or themselves or their clients, and then go from there. So another thing when we first release V1 of Marketplace, it's just going to be seen by agency owners. And then the idea is you can clone a bot from the Marketplace into your agency account, work on it, and then clone it into a sub account. And then maybe 2 or maybe V3 of Marketplace, there will be a sub account variation of Marketplace, which is your white labeled version of the Marketplace, which will only be seen to your sub account users, whereas you can then add your own bots to a marketplace, and then they can then use, and then you can use those to then market to get new customers. And if you're on the SaaS mode, then you can use the free trialing to have somebody use a bot from the marketplace to create a free trial account, and within 5 seconds be able to use that templated bot from your marketplace all within your white label. So my thought is, or my goal is, to have a use case where everyone as an agency can essentially run ads to get people to start interacting with a templated bot on the marketplace, and be able to clone that into an account all within that same initial user interaction, which would be sick. We're definitely honing down in this lead like the power of the platform in most use cases is starting to simmer to the top in terms of the conversations that I'm having with agencies. And the lead generation feature of extracting the data is, I think, just escalating continuously as the most valuable feature. And now it becomes a fun and creative challenge of how we integrate that specific function in different elements and different platforms and different funnels and flows. So two things that we're working on that Tim and I were just talking about that I think will be helpful, and we'd like to get your guys' feedback on, is we want to continue this theme of not being JHL. Like, our goal is not to build integrations for everything and become this overly complicated platform. We know we don't want to become that. We do know that we want to add certain integrations and certain automations that alleviate the need for GHL or Zapier to accomplish certain tasks. The first one being email notifications, which is, in my opinion, I think quite common. So the use case that I'm proposing to everyone, and this is what I'd like to get your feedback on, is we have the webhook API integration where you can add in a webhook, and then that data can be sent, and that can be done from the free trials created. Leads are generated, meetings are booked, and that data can be sent to a webhook URL. One of the things that most people have asked for or want is, how do we set up just a simple email notification so that way my client can be notified when somebody comes in and they don't want to use Zapier or Go High Level. So what we're thinking is, inside the app under webhook, we'll have a section where you can enter in an email address, and that same data will be sent to whatever email address or addresses that you add into that section on that bot specifically. So does that make sense, and would that be useful?
That sounds a good idea, because the less you need Zapier and GHL, the better, because they're clunky.
Yep.
And ultimately, then a text message would be obviously the ultimate. Link it with Twilio or something like that.
That would be a little bit sketchier. Maybe eventually, I think once we get to a certain scale, because the whole A2P thing really,
it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's a lot of like legal repercussions that could arise from
the dreaded A2P.
Yep. And because we're essentially, so I'm not saying no, but I think that's when we kind of reach a little bit higher of a scale, probably.
Yeah.
I know it'll be possible and it'll be easy. And I think for right now, the default will be like, all right, well, A2P when you verify for A2P, that's quite difficult as it is. So it's like, do you want to do that again?
Just out of curiosity, if it's going to connect to WhatsApp, how does that get around at A2P? Because that uses a phone number. Is it because it doesn't go through the phone system?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Better in many ways. Yeah.
yeah, it's not VoIP, it's whatever it's called. It's message over internet, whatever it's called.
I mean, it's just a regular, yeah, it's its own platform.
Yeah. All right. It's not such an issue in the UK, but obviously you've got some very interesting rules now in the States.
The more people I talk to outside of the States, that's the default platform.
WhatsApp is becoming massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I even speak to, I mean, for you guys, I don't know what you have, but we have all major brands do customer swap. Like I was talking to Dell the other day via WhatsApp. PayPal now send out their 2FA codes via WhatsApp as well instead of SMS. In the UK. It's just, I think it will be, I think SMS will kill itself off.
Besides WeChat, I mean, WhatsApp is the largest messaging platform in the world. In the US, we're very heavy on iMessage, believe it or not. In fact, there are children who basically will beg their parents to buy an iPhone because they want to be part of the iMessage chats because it has more functionality.
But iPhones are much bigger in the US than they are everywhere else.
Well,
Yeah,
that will be ending, I think, in January or February when Apple adds RTF to iOS 15 or whatever, or 16.
RCS, whatever that's called.
Yeah, RCS.
It's not RTF. RTF is rich text format, but yeah, I can't remember. I saw it in your video, Ross.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I should know. I did a whole video on it. Yeah. And that's actually an interesting point. We had there was a customer in agency chat yesterday that asked if we could integrate with a platform that would allow for iMessage messages. It's like some platform that will integrate iMessage API. Which is interesting. Yeah.
So WeChat is the biggest because it's in China. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And like when I was running product ecom brands, I used WeChat to talk with suppliers, and then we never did payments over WeChat, but we did it was all the communication stuff. But anyway,
because there was rumors afoot that they were going to get rid of Facebook Messenger and just use WhatsApp, wasn't there, at one point?
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Now there's like 4 different apps. There's the Messenger app, there's the Facebook app, there's WhatsApp,
Instagram.
They've gone crazy the other way now, haven't they?
Yeah,
it's like, I have a whole folder of just messaging apps.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know why they haven't integrated them and just made them work across.
It would just consolidate everything. Then
right.
Not to mention Threads and Instagram. Like,
yeah,
what are they doing?
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe it's because they can say that they have. Maybe this is how Mark Zuckerberg, like, they can scale the company. I know we're off topic, but if anybody has any questions, just interrupt me at any point. This is how they can increase the value of Meta. If they put all these apps into one, then it's the user base is a billion people, but WhatsApp has 200 million. This other app has, however many 100 million of users. Facebook has 100 billion users, or however many, they're, but like I'm one person that is a user of all 10 apps, but I could be counted as 10 people theoretically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it looks impressive, doesn't it? Oh, that's kind of Elon Musk's argument with Twitter, wasn't it?
Like, how many users do you have? Oh, I have 13 billion users. Well, that's more than the race. Like, how many? You have more than the whole global population. Like, okay.
Do you have any fake accounts? Oh, no.
Well, and you have to remember, like, the way they acquired those platforms, right? So Instagram was its own thing. And then WhatsApp, the same situation, as far as I know. And the idea of integrating already massive platforms, making that code work seamlessly together, that's not simple. So that may also be some of the reason why those things don't talk together. But it is weird because they do have a unified API. In order to access the Instagram API, you have to go through Facebook. And there's a lot of weird things, like you have to have a Facebook page, and it's a mess.
It's like a fundamental difference, though. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I was saying that it could be separated, like, for its own. It's like I think of it that every platform is kind of different in what people use it for. So that could be a case too.
So you mean like fundamentally the use case it's solving is slightly different, so that's why they're kind of keeping it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Could be
Yeah,
that.
you may be
I've
right.
never seen a group of friends talk through. Oh, maybe that's a little bit excessive. Like talk through WhatsApp and then companies told to. Although it is becoming a bit.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think it's a fundamental difference of the companies. I remember when I was in school in Silicon Valley at Santa Clara, I visited the Facebook campus, and I remember it being, it's like super corporate buildings on the outside, but as soon as you walk into the middle of the campus, it looks like Disneyland. There's art everywhere. There's random stuff. There's, you can get your hair cut. There's an ice cream store, but then Instagram was its own offices within the Facebook campus.
Oh, wow.
And like you walked in and it was all Instagram stuff, but it was within, so it was like this weird kind of like company within the company and physically at the actual campus.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, it's wild. And then we got, free Jamba Juice and free steak for lunch. It was crazy. And like that's the good old days of Silicon Valley office work. Gotta love it.
Going a bit off topic, can I ask a question about credits?
Yeah, please bring us back.
So I've had a few signups today, and one of the new clients who's onboarded on the free plan is I cap my free plans at 250 credits, and he's already used 604 credits. So how does that work? Because I thought I was hoping that he'd get to a point where he hits his 250 limit, and then he'd have to roll over into a paid subscription.
It should prevent him, but can you DM me the details on Discord or maybe send an email and we'll look into it. But worst case, we can give you the extra credits that he's somehow used up.
I don't mind him using it because he's obviously,
Keen on working with it.
But I'm not sure how the trigger should be working. I assumed that it would just kick in based on the credit.
It should, and it did in our testing. So there may be some edge case that we didn't consider. So yeah, please send me the details, and we'll certainly look into that.
What do you need, Tim? Do you need the bot name or?
I have your email already, I'm sure, in my email. I just need his email, which I don't know if you want to give it out. Yeah, I probably don't give it out on this call. So do you want me to just send you an email, Tim? And you can
I'll reply back to that. Yeah, cool.
Okay, perfect. No problem.
Sorry, Ross, back to Disneyland.
No, we're good. We'll add that to the we'll put that into the bug bounty program too.
Yep, definitely.
So what would be the ideal scenario? That he basically rolls, so he just upgrades his credits on his free plan, or does he have to go upgrade to the next plan?
No, I want to push him into a paid subscription. That's the ideal scenario. Yeah.
So is there a way? I'm just thinking out loud, Tim. Don't shoot the messenger. Would it be a way there where he kind of like gets that message in somehow in the system? Because that would do it for you then, wouldn't it?
The way we built it was it'll show a little red message in the corner, and it's like, you've reached your limit. Please click here or contact your agency.
Oh, right.
And that brings you to the thing. But we can change that. We can update that. We could we could like blur it or something.
Then it would be are you now ready for upgrading or something like that? Sort of kind of psychological.
Tim, how do you see that happen? Like visually, would you want it to boot them out of the dashboard, or maybe automatically redirect them to the product pricing, your subscription pages, or what do you think?
I think the problem lies somewhere else, because I've just dug into his account.
Okay.
The client's account, and he has jumped onto a paid subscription, but I've not had any notification either via backend or via Stripe, which I'm gonna go and query now, because it does show him jumping onto a
so it's
standard package.
Good method.
Some things work, but I was looking at my dashboard, the agency dashboard, and it was showing for usage of 250, but then I've gone into his account and he's actually in a paid version and he's at 3,000 something credits.
Okay.
So he's well within his limit now because he's paying. Maybe it's the comms, which is the breakdown again, but would be worth just having a review of it, please, and then we could sort of just jump on a quick call and see how where maybe it's something on my end's not working or certainly the Stripe integration works. I'll go in and log into Stripe next and check that the payment's gone through that way.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
sent you an email. So please send me that customer's details and we will look into it and get it fixed.
Well, obviously a good method.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey,
It works.
Yeah, he converted.
Works.
That's fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah. So do you use like a generic free trial, or are you doing it individually?
So no, an individual can sign up for a free trial. So
Right.
they go in, and that takes them to the create an account page, which is
And that-
under my white label version. And then from there, they can play within the platform, do what they need to do, but restricted to 250 credits.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then they kick into the next plan. So something has made that trigger happen.
It's just not the system isn't shooting you the messages. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just not got the message this time.
we've implemented some new SOP testing recently as well. So we will be catching these things more in depth than we already are for these edge cases over the next couple of weeks. But Tim and Tim, we'll get that. We'll get you guys together and get that sorted. And if anybody else has any, sees anything or any of these like kind of weird things, like please let us know, because it's as likely as it is on our end as it could be on your end. So we just want to make sure either way we'll get it fixed and get it sorted. And like Tim said earlier, we're investing more into getting on calls with people and helping implement these bots and agents initially, so that way you guys can then start cloning and like templating them out yourself, because we realize once like inherently kind of the structure and how they work and how they can be customized, it becomes so much easier to play with them and then help your clients play with them for different use cases within how you're going to create an offer.
Yeah. And because no one wants to spend hours, because the other option was we go and build a builder, right? But the problem with builders is that they're not simple to use. You're still coding. It's just you're using pictures to code. And they also don't allow for a lot of flexibility. And I think what people want is they don't want to spend hours working on a builder that's complex and incredibly difficult to debug. I have experience and background with this with Power Automate. But yeah, you just want to deploy it, have it ready to go. Maybe you make some modifications to the base system prompt to like add your own name or whatever, the company name and a few other things. But you just want to deploy it, have it ready to go, and you want it to work every time. So that's the end goal we're trying to get to, rather than have a complex builder where we try to simplify the process of what is effectively defining instructions. And that's not an easy process.
I think to some extent the builder is not having the builder is one of the attractions of Stammer. It's the fact you don't have to, I mean, let's face it, the workflows on Go High Level are a mystery to everybody, I think, because they try and do so many different things. They don't actually do any of it logically. It's kind of got to the point where it's
Yeah, I know Drew's got a big smile on his face right now, probably.
Yeah.
Like knowing all that stuff, like I see how these guys do this stuff. I'm like, you guys are wizards. Like making all this stuff work.
It's not programming. It's a whole new world. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a customer actually ask us a question about that. He was like, I'm having trouble visualizing it, and I think that's because where a lot of people are coming from. It's this programmatic, this thing that then spiders out to these two things that then spider out to these four things, and then.
It looks horrendous. I mean, you look at it. Yeah.
And it happens with a lot of different platforms, Zapier as well, and Make and ManyChat. But this is what is familiar to people. And I think conversational AI chatbots are just fundamentally different, but they're doing the same thing essentially.
Yeah.
And it's I think what we're realizing in general is because conversational AI is so new truly to the entire everyone. Like everyone is still learning how to go from visualizing it as a programmatic thing to now visualizing that programmatic thing within the context of a base system prompt or a prompt. Yeah. And I think, I mean, I was laughing about this with Tim the other day, like 3.5 is just a year old. GPT-4 is like 7-8 months old. Like it's so new. We're like on and Lightcap, COO of OpenAI, came out earlier saying that most businesses are having, you know, extreme difficulty implementing AI into their businesses, and they're trying to like change everything. And I looked at this article, I'm like, well, it's because they're not talking to customers. They're not actually implementing it in the places that we've actually found to be useful over the last 6 months. Whereas I think a lot of more, you know, larger enterprise are simply approaching this as, oh, we need conversational AI. Like Alex, the thing that you posted this morning from Amazon, like
Oh, yeah.
the early reviews on that are the thing that Amazon is terrible. Like, and I totally agree with you. I think they just push it out there because they had to appease, you know, investors, whatever. We're now in AI, like whatever. The applicable business use cases for this stuff, collectively, everybody on this call is on the cutting edge of actually applying business or AI to their business or to businesses.
Mhm.
And it's through these specific use cases that we've all kind of figured out together, really, over the last, and
Yeah.
no big corporations talking about it. Everyone's trying to do just dumb customer service AI chatbots still, which we all realized 6 months ago were not the thing. So
We've only got to look at some of the adverts for AI consultancy to run these big companies that are paying like $200,000 for a consultant. And what can someone actually know that justifies $200,000 at this point in time?
great
Unless
point.
you work for one of the, you know, OpenAI, and even then you can't have worked with everything.
Yeah.
How on earth they come up with that kind of figure? They've just plucked it out of thin air.
Yeah. I remember a while back, Tim and I were joking, like we should try to hire and find like an AI expert to come in and help us with our platform. And I was like,
Ooh,
who? Like, who are we gonna hire?
that would be us.
I mean, yeah, like, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'd be curious to see how many hours I've spent, and collectively everyone else here has spent, in terms of just like playing with prompting and figuring out all the stuff around how this is actually going to interface. Like, that's the work. And you know, I highly doubt these high paying consultants are, you know, actively testing this stuff out on a daily basis.
I mean, Dan's not here, but some of the things that Dan's managed to work out are crazy.
We were
Yeah,
mentioning
he's
that
a
earlier
wizard.
as well. Like, you know, aside from a few folks here, Dan is probably one of the only people that actually knows how to leverage this platform further than we even intended.
Yeah, I remember
And
his spot thing he did. Yeah.
I can't wait to get the marketplace out so he can start adding some of his ideas to the marketplace and sharing those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some playing around with, you know, a while back when I was doing my YouTube tutorials of creating kind of the one of the first Genesis bots for this whole thing was, you know, how do we leverage this in other ways that it's just not a conversational thing. So for
Mhm.
example, like data analytics, one of the ideas that I had back in college, which is now done to death, which was, you know, tracking the sentiment of what people thought about certain stocks when they tweeted about it. And that's obviously, like I said, been done to death now, but yet that core concept can be applied to a lot of different things. One of the things that we mentioned last week was the integration with our other product, Notifier, and how you can get notified when somebody mentions a keyword in relation to your product. Well, you could have that be seen by a Stammer bot to then classify the sentiment of that text. And we can basically create an AI agent to be trained to just do that process. And with the API, we could create a flow that would automate the entire process of reading in the comment, figuring out if it's a positive, negative, or neutral, then, you know, referencing that against a knowledge base to create a response. That response gets pulled down, and so there's a lot of different use cases, but all that kind of comes back to, okay, well, how do we build a bot that just does that?
Interesting.
Yeah. And with the addition of GPT-4 Turbo and some of the other features that the API is now becoming a little bit more stable with, like the voice and the vision and the data analytics piece, those are things that I'm starting to think, like, how can we start integrating those into useful business use cases for us as agencies to implement for our clients? Because I think a lot of them are cool, but that then becomes a distraction that I think doesn't add, it has to continuously add value to everyone.
Yeah, you have to come use case, then do we want that? As opposed to let's have that and work out how to use it once we've got it, which is kind of what happens with most companies, isn't it?
Yeah. And in our case, there's a step added in there to add it to the roadmap and have the rest of the community vote on it to see how good, how much people actually want it. That's been quite interesting to see. And we're trying to keep that more updated as we go with some of these things that we're working on in the background. But a lot of it is little stuff like, bug fixes here and there that don't warrant the whole roadmap item.
On the voice to text thing, so I've been doing lots of tests. So I do a test on the mobile.
Mhm.
So instead of touch typing, I'll just press the microphone button on an iPhone and let it type that out. That works fantastically well. But obviously the response back from the bot is text driven. Have you got something on the roadmap to convert that then into spoken language?
Yeah. So that will be either the 11 Labs integration card, or it will be the GPT-4 Turbo TTS integration card. Right now, 11 Labs Turbo is 5 times as faster in terms of latency. So we would probably start with that one. And then it's tough. But we have 2 different options to do it, basically.
Yeah.
And that will allow for the bot to be spoken backwards or back to you. Tim he showed me a really good app recently. I think it's called Whisper Text, and it's one that uses the Whisper API on your computer. Because I noticed this, the voice to text on the iPhone natively works really well, but on Mac or on PC, there's not really a good solution for that yet. From what I found, like if you do the native one on Mac, for some reason it's not as good. The Whisper, which is Whisper, is the name of the API that OpenAI has for converting text to voice or voice to text, text to voice. Sorry, and no, voice to text. Keep that straight, everybody. There's tests on that later, but no, there's voice. Yeah, one of those, and I totally lost my train of thought. Text to voice,
Whisper app.
That's how we'll be doing the other way too. So the bot could speak back to you, but we'll also eventually be adding the ability to where you could speak to the bot. So if you're not on the iPhone, you could just click the thing and it would be like allow microphone.
Yeah, and it'll actually perform much better. That's
really good for accessibility though as well.
Yeah.
People asking for that? Because are they asking for that ability to speak to it with audio?
Or hear it?
If you work in government in the UK, then it's accessibility is a legal requirement on your website. So you have to cater for people with diverse requirements, whether visual impairment or speech impairment. And you have to have a tool on that website that addresses those functions. And these tools some are good and some are like not so good. The good ones tend to be really expensive as well. The subscription on them is huge.
Wow, good to know. Well, yeah, you should try this one. This one's amazing. I can list this Whisper app that's using the Whisper API, I assume. I haven't talked to the developer, but it's amazing. I can literally just speak to it, and never have I just been able to speak to the built-in Mac one. It's never been good enough. It's always had errors. But with this one, I can literally just speak to it. Not one error so far that I've had to correct. It's incredible. So yeah, we could definitely do that.
Is that on the iPhone now?
Put a link
Mac
in
OS. Yeah, let me pull it up. I'll put the link in the general chat on Discord.
There's that token counter too.
This will turn into everything everyone thought Siri and that would be when it first came to market.
Yeah, which speaking of, like, how often do you use Siri? Because I don't use it that often, except maybe to set a timer or
set a timer and turn the torch on.
Yeah, but maybe this will work well enough to where it's more useful.
Okay, so I just remembered. So the first thing was the email thing, adding email notifications into the platform next to webhooks. And the second thing is initial message. So when we create the integrations with Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, we need the AI can have the conversation when the user sends the message back. So how do we send that first message to the user? Well,
Mhm.
typically you would have to use another platform like Zapier or Go High Level to then send that first initial message. But we have initial message as a field already built into each bot. So
Mhm.
the thought process being is we can have it use that initial message as the first message that is sent out for the user to then respond back to then have the AI take over the conversation. Again, alleviating the need for another third-party platform to then have a fully integrated chat conversation.
So it'd be able to outreach rather than inreach.
Correct.
That would be very interesting, wouldn't it?
There's
Yeah.
certain, I don't know if it's a specific thing with WhatsApp or that, but I know through something I'm doing at the moment, WhatsApp can't initiate conversations for whether it's a thing in the UK or whatnot. But yeah, with current things like Twilio and stuff like that, that's what I'm was doing for a client recently.
Yeah, Instagram's kind of similar where you have to, like, you can send one message within 24 hours, but then you can't send another unless they respond.
It's the same as Facebook Messenger. It was like that a long while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So there still is an opt-in fact, like they still have to like come into the platform some way. You couldn't just like add a list of leads and then send and then be like, oh, now send this message, and then like that's still not how it would work. Once we build out the use case for it, I think it'll be easier to visualize. We have the team working on R&D for all those 3 platforms right now. Product tours coming out soon. Zoom integration, group booking is almost done. Marketplace is almost done. The removal of the conversation starters, that will be done in this
Next week. Yeah.
in the next one.
How's your data export? There were 2 things we still were chasing again for GDPR. One was the privacy notes in the client sub accounts. So the little links, so we could put our own white label link in there to our privacy policy.
Yep, that is going to be live. Later today, that will be live. So we got the privacy policy in terms of service, the documentation link also to go back to the dashboard from both documentations. That's going out. Oh, also custom menu links will be going out. So you will have the ability to create custom menu links that will show up in the menu.
And I guess the other one was the data extract of conversation. We talked about that.
Yes, that is still being worked on actually, but that should be coming out shortly.
Is there a way to moderate the type speed so it appears like it's somebody typing it? I've managed to slow it down, but is there a control on it of some sort?
Other than the slider?
Oh, the slider actually you can sort of slow it up and down, can you?
Yeah, there's there's several options in there.
Default, and it just seems to be doing what it should be. But and also the other thing is, can you make the conversations less long so they break naturally? So it doesn't, if you have a lot of information, it gives it all in one kind of thing. Whereas in a human version, it would break. It would probably stop for a second, pause, and then do a next like paragraph. Doesn't seem to paragraph. Whether that's just the way I set it in the prompt or something, I don't know.
That might be a little tough because the way that we're accepting the information back from OpenAI is in one catch.
Yeah. So you can't do it. It's not in principle possible. Because you get quite long, sometimes you get quite a lot of information. Somebody's sitting there going, and it's not how you would naturally ingest it.
Yeah. My initial advice is try to just continue working on the base system prompt to make it so that the way those responses are shorter more often.
Size, yeah.
Sorry?
So to make the question so the depth of answer is more limited.
Yes. And one of the things that Tim showed earlier about how you can put in an example of a conversation, that can help with that, where instead of showcasing the answer being a super long paragraph, the answer is a short and these could also be stuff that's in the QA knowledge base as well. It's used for like it's not the content, it's how the content is displayed.
Okay, cool.
Is it possible, let's go for a random thing, for it to send link. So, for example, say you're having a conversation, you're using it almost like a knowledge base for it to, instead of giving you, say, like in Graham's example, a large amount of text, if it's relevant because it's stuff you need, going, please give me your email address and I will email you a link to this article, or I'll email you a kind of support thing. Again, the same way a support agent might, even at the end of the call, it might be, I'll email you the copy of this chat log with everything to throw back.
So everything minus the chat log right now could be done via a webhook at a certain point, in the conversation. So like when they've entered in their email address or answered a certain question, that data would then hit the webhook, at which point you could set that up with the Zapier and then send an email. And then in that email, you would have the links that are corresponding to whatever they responded to.
And you'd be able to pick that out of a conversation. So from the overall conversation, if there's 2 or 3 things, say it's like a link to the services page and then a link to a about us page or something, it would know, as opposed to just going, boom, here's a link to the website.
And this is in the email?
Yeah.
That would be more of a static thing. So the way, like, the trigger would be email is collected. So like whatever other information plus email is collected in the chat. That information is then sent via the webhook, which is the trigger to then send the email. Inside that email is the information that you would have templated out. So the way to make it semi-dynamic would be having like an if-then statement on the top of that trigger that says, okay, well, what did what are you interested in? And that could be a differentiator. If they answer website design, then you could send them these links, or if they answer advertising, you could send them these links. That's how I would kind of run that scenario right now. Where the email thing that I was mentioning earlier kind of comes into play is kind of in this scenario where when enabled, you could have it auto send the conversation and potentially whatever other information without the need of Zapier.
Okay.
And it's kind of a fine line too, because we don't want to become a GHL where there's, like Tim was saying, the whole builder, and that's one of our advantages, I think.
No, I think, even as I said, going back to the point you made earlier in the Discord, the general chat the other day, where someone said, "Oh, I can't visually see the spider web of it," kind of thing. That's not what you want to get into. That's what Peter said. I'm not a GHL user. I've known about it for years, and the more I see it and think, would this be really useful? Every time I go back to it, there's the bigger list of things on it, and I just think, nah, it's way too far down the rabbit hole. I'd honestly rather have 10 different subscriptions to different platforms now, and know I can clearly and concisely do what I need to in each, than do this all in one kind of thing.
I'm using GHL less and less for it, less and less of its core functionality. For me, it's the hub of a data collection point for contact related information. We have two data hubs. The first is GHO, which is contact related information. And that's information that is either inputted by the contact or by anyone on the team. So that could be like a form that someone fills out, or when they sign up for a free trial, the email address that they use when they become a paid subscriber, all that type of data. The other side of it is all in Matomo. And Matomo is our tracking, it's our Google Analytics replacement tool, essentially. And the key and the reason why we really like Matomo is because we can assign users a Matomo ID that gets associated with their email address in the contact data pool. And so that creates a link between the two data pools. So at that point, what we have available to a salesperson is all the contact data of what they've inputted. We have the first touch point that they interacted with and all the UTM parameters that go along with that. So for example, that means the campaign name, ad set name, and ad that they originated from, or the Google search that they originated from, or the referral website URL that they were referred from. So that would show like an Instagram or a YouTube video or a blog article, for example. We then also, and then Matomo is tracking their entire life cycle as a user on the website, on the app, in the email, kind of everywhere. And so as a salesperson, if somebody is not yet a paid subscriber, we could go in and look at and click on one user and be able to see, okay, this person's taken these many different actions before they were a free trial user, or this is the actions that they've taken after being a free trial user, in correspondence to this is how they told us that they found us, and the main reasons why they're not, or why they're not ready to use AI yet, or whatever. I highly recommend checking out Matomo. It's probably one of the least things or least tools I see people talking about, but it's really good. So highly recommend it.
How's it spelled?
MAT.
Oh,
MOMO, yeah. I've
Okay.
used it for a while instead of Google Analytics, because it's the biggest thing for GDPR. It's cookieless.
Okay.
Yeah, I just put it in.
Yeah, and ironically, it's much more featureful than Google Analytics. The moment they started talking about GA4, I think is what it was, I was just like, nope, let's investigate something else, because Google can't even tell you the email, of the person that they're tracking.
And this will be this kind of goes along with some of the other cards that are on our roadmap for internal agency tracking as well. So we've had a couple customers ask for the ability to add tracking codes in certain places. And this is one of the ways that we'll probably, or like these will be one of the apps that we use to leverage how to help others implement this process for themselves in their agency. So as an agency owner, you could use this to track when someone goes to your website, to when they start a free trial in your app, to when they are using your app, to when they become a paid subscriber in your app, in your white label version of the app, and be able to see that entire process. Any other questions or topics you guys want to go over quickly? All right. Alrighty. Well, I will post the link for the Thursday Agency Mastermind in the Discord. I'm going to definitely work on making those the recurrings as well. So you guys can just sign up once and then you'll get added to it automatically. Do that with the office hours as well.
That'll be great.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll be in touch soon with updates in this latest release, and then hope to see everyone on Thursday.
All right. Take care.
Cool.
Talk to you
Cheers.
later. Have a
Thanks,
great day.
guys.
Take care. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Thanks.